Hey everyone, it is now 2023 and we are halfway through the Devil's Moon event, but I want to take some time to see how Hunt has changed in 2022, and later in the video we can talk about some stuff we can expect later this year. So first, I want to talk quickly about the content that got added in every 2022 major update, but for time's sake, we obviously can't cover every single change. So we're going to be a little reductive and talk about the highlights, at least as I see them. But if I skip something you loved, let me know in the comments. So the updates for 2022 were 1.7.2, 1.8, 1.8.1, 1.9, 1.10, and 1.11. And we have some events last year that were staggered between those or released a little bit after the update, and we will talk about those. So we start in update 1.7.2, which dropped on January 27th. We saw the introduction of the Dark Tribute system, which is that XP reward system. The first bounty extraction bonus, which rewards your first extraction of the day per hunter. New weapon variants, including the Berthier Deadeye, the Scotfield Spitfire, Precision, and Swift. And we saw the accuracy nerf to dual wielding, levering, and fanning, as well as rapid fire weapons like the Bornheim and the Officer Pistol. They also fixed horse audio, which was bugged and no one realized because no one knew they couldn't hear a horse. The Winfield also gained FMJ, and Dragon's Breath got a little buff to its range. Also, decoys got changed to make hunter footsteps instead of that weird metal sound they used to make. And poison traps now last longer, which also makes them more lethal when used with concertina traps. They also removed that exploit where doors and windows would tell you if someone was near a compound. Okay, and then there was also a small anniversary Twitch drops campaign that introduced the Steel-Eyed and some old and new, I guess, legendary items. It was a pretty short event. It lasted from February 23rd to the 1st of March. Into update 1.8, which added the ability to open doors inward by backing up. I use that all the time. It also added a few hunter hands that were mismatched to their legendary skins, made some server improvements and map changes, which are too lengthy to get into. That's also the update where Kane got nerfed to be a little bit more visible, and his pick rate fell substantially. You don't see that many Kanes anymore. 1.8 was the update that brought the first moon-themed event, Traitors Moon, and most notably from that event was new variants and weapons, the Berthier Riposte, the Scotfield Brawler, and the new Army Pistol, as well as the Winfield Slate shotgun, the latter of which felt pretty overtuned with slugs for a while, but they did eventually nerf that. And Traitors Moon lasted from March 24th to April 14th, so it was the shortest of the Moon trilogy, and I'm not sure any of us realized at the time that it was going to be a trilogy, but maybe I missed that. But this is also the update where we got a tease about a new team play and anti-camping mechanic, and you probably know what that is by now. Alright, into update 1.8.1 that introduced the now removed summon system. Summons were weekly challenges you had to track, and they would give you little rewards, but they also were kind of a headache to manage. And that has now been replaced by the challenges as we see it in the Devil's Moon event. Also, the Lantern Grunt and the Pistol Grunt made an appearance, and Torch Grunts now dropped those torches on the ground, and that could detonate barrels. They are definitely a hazard. 1.8.1 also fixed the ladder exploit, which allowed you to see and shoot through walls. It was a good bug fix to have, but it wouldn't be the last because we saw several, I don't want to say game-breaking bugs, but they were pretty major, including the reload bug and the Lamat bug, which popped up soon after. And then into update 1.9, where we saw the removal of the leaderboard, where you could compare your hunt stats globally. Also, this was the update that had significant improvements to desync. It really is so much better. Not perfect, but better for sure. The devs also added the black market, which the tease for that feature left a lot of people a bit frustrated that it was just a blood bond store. Hive swarms got fixed to track targets correctly, and there were a lot of map changes offering new entrances to several compounds, including King Snake Mine opening, which I think we are still playing out lore-wise. That will probably be tied to the newest boss. And thinking about it now, some of these map changes have definitely reduced the amount of stalemates I get into, especially in places like Crematorium, where there's that new entrance on the side. We also saw the introduction of a ping limit. I honestly can't tell you how well it works. I don't have a lot of weird ping issues on US East, which is where I play primarily, but some other regions probably have thoughts there. And we saw the first introduction of team details at the end of a match, where you can tell who killed who, and those things are time-stamped, and that kind of helps you get a picture of what happened during a match. They also eventually tweak those icons to be more readable, but this is when that system was introduced. We also saw tweaks to the Centennial and the Terminus to buff them with things like fire rate and smoother animations. Honestly, these two weapons were probably the most improved over the year, and the Uppercut got a small nerf to its damage over range, and that was kind of a precursor to the Sparks pistol being introduced into the game later in 2022. Poison ammo finally did the full damage of normal ammo, which sets us up for Serpent Moon. Update 1.9 was definitely one of my favorites for the year, just because it had so many quality of life fixes, but let's talk about Serpent Moon. Serpent Moon gave us two new weapon variants, the Romero Alamo shotgun and the Sparks pistol, the second long ammo pistol as it currently sits. We also got the first evolving legendary hunter, the Viper, which had different skins for different stages. Serpent Moon was also Crytek's first attempt at a battle pass, and I think generally people found the event to be a little too grindy, maybe more than a little, because Serpent Moon lasted from July 27th to September 9th, which was 2 months and just a real grind. And that was probably made worse because the levels got progressively harder to complete. Serpent Moon did do some gameplay stuff differently. It had the altar system where you collected snakes and then you would burn them at the altars near boss compounds, and that did change up the gameplay for a while. We also saw the Serpent Moon time of day, which has since gone away, but it was a little precursor to the Inferno, which we will talk about soon. I also want to note there were trait tweaks with the event, like Poison Sense working for up to 150 meters. So the event also became a testing bed for future changes, and I like that direction. But that was Serpent Moon. It had a new monetized event feel to it, which took some adjustment, admittedly, but it also added some interesting stuff and gameplay changes. Following Serpent Moon came a Twitch drop, and this was closely linked to Update 110, and we'll talk about that in a second. The Twitch drop introduced the Billy Story Questline, which are like chaptered challenges that you progress through. Full disclosure, I still have not finished mine, but I'll get around to it. Questlines are the highlight here and will likely be a part of future events, and we'll talk about Halloween in just a second. We also got our first weapon charm, which I still haven't equipped, but all of this came with this new Questline system. And that is closely linked to Update 110, which also dropped on October 12th, and that update heavily influenced that Billy Story questline. The headline feature here is the Stalker Beetle, which I think people had high hopes for to change the game, and maybe it's helped some players, but also there was a section that was disappointed because they were looking for more, whatever that would be. We also saw the headshot range for the Winfield and compact carbines get extended. Conduit got changed to give a 5-minute stamina boost. It is honestly an awesome trait right now, especially for solos. Ghoul's monster kill range was upped from 25 meters to any range, and Poison Sense was now permanently set to 150 meters, which we saw during the Serpent Moon event. 110 also tweaked audio and underground systems, and also overhauled a lot of hunt dollar prices in the arsenal and trait point costs, which I personally feel were generally good. The Uppercut became more expensive, the Bornheim and the Terminus became cheaper, traits like Doctor and Fanning got a little bit more expensive. In my opinion, these were good. The price changes made some of the weapons and traits a more deliberate choice, but I would still love to see a dev blog about the hunt dollar economy. And of course, we had the new questline system, which I've already talked about. But that sets us up for the Halloween event, which was actually just a Halloween questline, which was a pretty big departure from previous Halloween events. Instead of an event point tree to progress through, the Halloween event was a 6-act mission that offered new and old legendary rewards. I think with this second questline, it was a little easier to progress through, and the system proved itself capable of changing the meta, at least temporarily, encouraging players to use certain ammo types and weapons. And finally, we are at update 111, where the devs are still trying to figure out the reload bug. We got a change to footsteps above and below wooden surfaces. Silencers got buffed to be in line with the Winfield silencer. That's that compact buff we saw earlier in the year. And Ironworks got a new chimney entrance, and you can jump over sticks in the world. Doors got new audio, and several bug fixes got added. There was a lot of bug fixes and kind of map tweaks with update 111 because the real content was being added with the Devil's Moon event. And so Devil's Moon started on December 14th and brought with it a lot of changes. Notably, we saw the addition of new weapons, the Lamat Carbine or Carbine, the Martini Ironside, the Springfield Crag, and the Centennial Trauma. We also got PAX custom ammos and Bomb Lance custom ammos, which have helped both of those weapons too. So pretty good content drop there. Each of those weapons have their own identity, which I like. We also saw the introduction of the pack system, where you make pledges to gain new traits in 3 different packs: Lunar, Infernal, and Grounded. Most important for me, we saw the addition of the solo revive using Necro with the Grounded pact, which feels like it has to stick around in some way, kind of like the change to Serpent in previous updates. One of my favorite additions, we saw the new wildcard condition called the Inferno, which adds a wildfire to all maps, and we have been teased there might be more in the future. This was also Crytek's second attempt at a Battle Pass driven event, and while it feels a bit less grindy thanks to the new added challenges system, which replaced summons, it is still a lengthy one, going from December 14th to February 15th. So that is a very quick overview of all the content and changes made to Hunt Showdown in 2022. The official Hunt Showdown YouTube channel gave us some other insights for the year. They had 9 new updates, 5 major and 4 minor, a new all-time peak player count during the Serpent Moon event at 38,802. The deadliest hunters of the year were the Reaper, the Viper, and the Infected, and 116 new legendaries were added to the game. So that is our 2022 recap, but let's very quickly talk about what we might see in 2023. We've been teased there is a new boss in the works. We don't quite know what that is. It's probably related to the King Snake Mine thing, as I mentioned earlier. There are hints that a new map is in development. We will almost certainly see some new weapon variants for the existing roster, but if we do see a new weapon, we might get the Colt Lightning, a compact pump action rifle. Iron Devastator is very lonely right now. In my opinion, that weapon makes the most sense. I am also hopeful that console will get a next-gen upgrade, which is a topic for a coming video, and maybe we will see some UI improvements. Those were mentioned in a dev blog last year, but we never saw significant changes to the UI, so maybe that is on the way. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the recap. There was a lot of interesting stuff in 2022. Were you satisfied with the amount of content? Is there anything you are still waiting for? Let me know. Also, if you haven't seen that Bomb Lance video, go watch it. It was a lot of fun to make. Until the next video, goodbye.